Hey, this is Allie Edwards. In this video, I'm going to show you how I put together the first part of my Day in the Life album for 2019. If you've done Day in the Life with me in the past, I have put the project together in a variety of different ways. This year, I decided to do the project twice, and I am using this 3x8 album, which you can find in my shop, as the home or the foundation for this project. So yesterday, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, I did the actual documentation, meaning I took the photos, I wrote down the stories that I wanted to tell, and I did that all on Instagram. So I knew in advance kind of the size and the amount of space I was gonna have for photos, and that helped dictate the number of photos that I took over the course of the day and the number of stories that I was gonna tell. Now I knew already, because I had set this up in advance and I'm using this album, that I was going to be using the lens of morning, afternoon, and evening. That also helped me divide up the content to be able to make it approachable and not go overboard in terms of taking too many photos or writing down too many words that I would then have to deal with in this album. So as you can see, this is two different products that we have available. One is the album that comes with these dividers. So it has the morning, and it has the afternoon, and it has the evening. And then it also has these additional dividers here in the back. There's 12 of these. This is for when I do it in the fall. When I do it in the fall, I'm gonna use the lens of time, or an hourly lens, and I'll be just documenting it in a different way. But for this first one, morning, afternoon, evening, I've got a 3x8 here in the front. This card is included in the kit. The kit had cards, it has stickers, chipboard, it had the stamp in it that I'm gonna be using. Let's see what else. It had some additional stickers that are kind of handwriting stickers, and then it has some plastic circles too. I'm gonna use most of that stuff probably in the second round of Day in the Life this year. For this round right now, I'll probably use the chipboard and the word phrase stickers as some embellishments. But I did put this in here as the title to the album itself. And what I'm gonna do on this date part right here is I'm just gonna put in 2019, because this is actually I'm using this as the title card for the whole album, and so that's all going to be in 2019. So I think I'll do that right now. I pulled out excuse me, what is this? A date stamp, and I am just going to, let's see, this one doesn't have any blank ones on it. I just want the 2019 because I want to stamp the 2019 right on there. So I think what I'm going to do is just try to do it really carefully. I'm using StazOn ink. And I'm just gonna get the date part, ink that part, and then I'm going to just do a test there to make sure, yeah, it'll work. I was holding that at a weird angle. So I'm gonna go ahead and stamp this right on here. There we go. So 2019 is the date. One of the things that I am really targeting with my memory keeping is to simplify things, or just to not have it have to be, I'm trying to think of, I just want it to be more intentional. And so the products that we are designing, that I am designing, I want to be intentional, and I want them to be directed, and I want it to help the projects make sense as well. So something that I've been thinking a lot about. For this first day, then on the back here, I've used a title. This is actually a free download, and I'll put it here in the post. It's also available in the Day in the Life, Week in the Life Facebook group if you're interested in joining that to get more inspiration and information about these projects. That is there as well. And then what I've already done is I've already gone in and printed my photos. So I knew that I have a morning card here. And in the case of the morning one, I'm actually just gonna cut this photo to fit onto here. So I have just a few, right? I did a few, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have a fifth photo. The fifth photo is actually going to be on the back of my journaling. So I printed this. This is the same size as the page protectors, which I believe, or even this, let's see, should be about really close to that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to adhere, this is all my journaling that I posted on Instagram with each one of my photos. So I literally opened up Instagram on my desktop computer, copied and pasted this onto, copied and pasted all my text onto here, and then went ahead and printed it out just on some, I think it's, I'm using the Nina, the bright white. Let's see, try to get it somewhat straight on here. Might be a little off, and that's okay. I'll trim it with my scissors here. So I just literally adhered those back to back because that is a easy way to create an additional page if you don't want everything to be inside the page protectors. And I kind of like to have a mix. I like to have some things inside the page protectors and some things outside of the page protectors. And then I am going to use a 3-hole or a 6-hole punch here in just a second. Once I get this part trimmed off there. 6-hole punch to make this be able to fit as a page within the album itself. One of the things that I did during the day of documenting is I added times on there. So my plan here is to use the stamp set that came with the kit. I'm just gonna get that right in there. To add the times to my photos. So a good example, so here we can just slip that right in there. There we go, there's all my text. Make sure if you do this way and you're setting it up and you measure the size of the page protector that you leave space over here for the holes, right? That's something that's important. I left about, I think, a 1/2 inch there for those holes. But here's the stamps that I'm using and that I'm planning on stamping directly onto the photos for the time. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna use StazOn for that. And then I also told you guys that I was gonna adhere this onto this card. Now, depending on how much journaling you have, you may just be able to use the card itself and write your journaling directly onto the card. But in my case, I had too much, at least for the morning, too many words for the morning and the afternoon. For the evening, I don't. And so you'll see how I tackle that as well as we work through this. So there's just adding the photo onto the card, which is always a nice option to be able to do that. But like I said, I want to put the time on there. So this is 9:23. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. The 6 can be turned over to be a 9 as well. I know some people like to do this all at once. I'm kind of a one at a time person here. I think it's going to be able to fit right on there. So let's use StazOn for this. You can add the AM and PM too if you want on there. Awesome. Also, if you have the date stamp, or the time stamp, that's a product that we have. I believe we still have those in the shop. This is something that you could use as well, which is just a rolling stamp. Potentially a little bit easier if you don't want to do these individual numbers like this. It's really kind of up to you. And you could also print them, you know, if you use Photoshop, you could print them directly onto the photo while you were doing it. But I personally like to have a mix, and that's what I'm doing right here. So I have some things that are printed on the computer. I have some things that are physical products. The combination is really what I like. 9:23. And then I'm gonna put the AM on there too. So when I was taking these pictures, I did not think a lot about, am I leaving enough white space for the times? I didn't really think about that. I just figured I'll find a space. Like on this one, I'm probably gonna put it horizontally along there. And I'll show you that here in just a second. So this one is, what, 8 a.m. Actually, I'm gonna stamp the AM first so that I kind of know where I want to put the 8. This is a great little stamp set, that one that I will totally probably use again in other projects. Okay. So there's the 8 AM. And if you wanted to, you know, you could do full hour too. Let's see, I'm gonna slip this back in here. I may still be adding some of those embellishments on here as well, so we'll see how this goes. 842, so for Simon, I think we could probably do it down here. And I'm just working backwards here on this one. And even, you know, I think in a lot of ways it doesn't matter if you can't see all of it exactly either. Actually, I should see if there's any stickers that I want to add on here. Okay, I need this guy. I have to say too that I super love being able to use Instagram for a project like this, where I am literally able to, you know, go about the day, document, not have to be writing it down anywhere else. I can just share them directly on my Instagram and then be able to copy and paste. So again, it's kind of finding ways, in what ways can you simplify it for yourself to make it easier. Okay, so there's that one. This one, which is on the back, is gonna be 10 AM, so I'll come back to that. And then this one is 11:29. So let's go ahead and do this one. I like the blockiness of these numbers here too. So one of the questions that I often get, I print all my photos at home. For these ones, I printed all of these, the smaller ones, on an Epson PictureMate PM400. And then the larger ones I printed on a Canon, which is an MG7720 Pixma, I think is what it is. That's been a great printer for me for things that are a little bit larger. I also have a bigger one that I use if I'm doing like full 12 by 12 images. I'm just gonna leave that because it's not always perfect. Okay, and then I have the one more that's here on the back, which was the 10 AM time. I'm gonna put this one right here. So basically what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna follow the same thing that you're seeing right now on the other ones throughout the day. So I'm not gonna film myself just stamping all the numbers on there, but I'll hop back on here and show you what it all ends up looking like and how I decided if I added anything else or not. All right, so I went ahead and just took care of the rest of the project, and so I want to show you how it ended up turning out. Love this. Again, I feel like this is a really efficient way to go about doing this. I love that it has a home, and I like playing around with this size, so I'm feeling good about it. A couple things, I added one of the chipboard pieces to the outside of the page protector. That's always an option as well. You don't always have to put it inside, that's just on the outside. I added another one, the one that says here and now, on top of the date there, the actual Tuesday date. Then, as you saw before, I added on the times using the stamp that's included in the Day in the Life kit, and I used StazOn as my ink there. And then I also used some of the word phrase stickers that were included in the Day in the Life kit on top of the photos. So other than that, I didn't feel like it needed a lot more embellishing, and that's often the way I approach both the Day in the Life and Week in the Life, is from a very low embellishment standpoint, focusing significantly more on the words and the photos. So there's my journaling. There is this page. I went ahead, or this photo, excuse me, added another of the chipboard hearts there, the 10 a.m. On top. Then here's the afternoon portion. I printed out one extra picture that I had, added the dates, added the stickers on there. This one, the journaling was a little bit shorter, so I used a pattern paper that I had on hand here. This one is Shine On from Amy Tangerine. It's called Up. I'll see if that's still available. Just a fun little dot, and if it is, I'll link it for you guys below. And added on the Love These Moments chipboard piece, the stamping, and the word phrase sticker. So repetition is really a key for me as well. And again, keeping it super simple, more about getting it done and less about having to be another project that's on my list to complete. Following the same formula again, using a chipboard heart with a date stamped on top. And then flowing into evening, where I had less photos, I actually ended up having just 2 photos. This is printed actually on a white piece of paper that I then added on top of the original card. I could have printed directly on the card, but I didn't even want to mess with that, so I went ahead and just printed on white paper and adhered it. Added the date to this photo, and then added the date to the last photo I had, and then used the gratitude cards to identify 5 things that I was thankful for on this particular day. And then, like I said, I'll be doing this project again in the, let's see, later in the fall, and we'll be focusing on time and the details, so doing it hourly. One of the things I love about this idea and the way that we're approaching it this year is that the products are for the whole year. So I'll be able to incorporate the word phrase stickers and the chipboard pieces and potentially the stamps into the documenting that I do later on in the year, and have it all flow together into one album that holds 2 different Day in the Lives for 2019. Let me know if you guys have any questions below, and thanks so much for participating.